This is Why Am I a Mets Fan? A podcast hosted by Samantha Croston and Ashley Wenskowski.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into another episode of the Why Am I a Mets Fan podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. You know this already because Ashley told you it yesterday if you were with us. She is at a wedding. So we got Dan the Man, the intern if you're new to this podcast. He's our awesome intern filling in. We're coming to you after the Mets smoked the Dodgers 12-6, and LA now leads the series 3-2. How are we feeling?
Feeling pretty good. I mean, you had to keep winning, and you know what they say. Got to win one. Don't let us win one. So we're third of the way there.
Love your entire outfit, by the way. He has the October Rise shirt on, the City Connect hat. So stunning, 10 out of 10. Just wanted to say. We are going to kind of go through it inning by inning because there was so much here to unpack. I honestly almost can't believe what I saw. Let's start right at the beginning, right? Top of the first, Peterson had men on second and third, nobody out, and nobody scored. I mean, you watched this whole game live as it happened, yes?
Yes, I did.
And what'd you think? Top of the first, how are you feeling when you see this?
I mean, you don't want to start out on the wrong foot. I mean, it's kind of been a theme this series where the Dodgers have been taking advantage of the Mets and scoring early, and it was almost no different once again. They had second and third, no out, but Peterson battled back. There was another walk, and then there was like a kind of a bloop hit from, I think it was Mookie Betts, right to Marte. He dropped the ball. A tough play, couldn't make it. But he bounced right back, retired Hernandez, Freeman, and Edman in order to get out of the jam, and that was absolutely huge to set the tone. It
was awesome. And I got to be honest, Dan and I talked on the phone earlier today when we knew we were going to be doing this episode, figuring out when we're going to do it. And I feel like then I did sort of feel positive going into today. I'll go on record saying that. I feel like you were kind of like on the fence about it.
Yeah, I didn't really know what to expect, especially because of the way that they looked against Flaherty in Game 1. And I was like, if we're going to see a repeat of that, then this is going to be ugly. But luckily, they found a way, and they really got to him today.
It really was the bottom of the first when, for once, all of the money that people have been paying to go to Citi Field to watch these games was worth a damn. Pete Alonso hits a 3-run home run. It's funny because the broadcasters, if you were watching on TV, said something, again, that narrative. Is this the final time that Pete Alonso will be in a Mets uniform? I think that, I know he can't hear it, but I feel like that narrative just motivates him.
I mean, it must have. I mean, that was a crazy at-bat. I mean, it was a good start for the Mets. You get that leadoff single from Lindor, you get the walk from Nimmo. Vientos struck out, but Alonso comes up, and he hit that pitch. It was at his shins. I saw an interesting stat.
Yeah.
That was the lowest pitch hit for a home run in the postseason since Daniel Murphy in the 2015 NLCS.
First of all, that's a wicked stat, and I'm so happy you brought it up. I totally agree, though, and this is, again, I know that the stakes were different in this one compared to that Brewers hit, but to me, it felt like this is the second time now where he has turn the Mets quote-unquote season around. Like when things really feel, I get it was the beginning of the game, but until this bomb, it felt like, honestly, is this the last game?
No, yeah, and they needed to set the tone in this game 100%. So it was absolutely huge for him to hit that. Crushed it dead center, 432 feet. Didn't look like it off the bat, if I'm being honest, on a pitch so low. But Alonso has such that power that he could turn on the ball and really elevate it. And you know what? The Mets really kind of took that and ran with it.
They really did. Top of the second, Mets are in trouble again. This was the weirdest game. And it's actually a wild pitch of all things that leads to the first run. Honestly, in that moment, I'm kind of thinking, Mets gonna Met.
Yep. I mean, once again, it started with a walk. I mean, we've been talking about it. The walks have been unbelievable. The Mets are now at 36 walks through 5 games, which is the most through 5 games in a postseason series. This is just unacceptable at this point.
It has truly been one of the weirdest series that I've ever seen in my life. I was telling Ashley last night after the Dodgers stomped the Mets that maybe the Mets team that I had been seeing in the postseason for so long was not the real version. Then I see this today. Are Dodgers fans concerned? I mean, Dodgers fans who have been listening to this podcast, and we thank you so much for your support. Please lock in. Are you confused? Are you questioning the identity of your team? Because this has been so confusing. It's like no matter who wins, it hasn't been competitive baseball in a sense.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying, but I feel like every team, at least the Dodgers at least, have been in every single game. You know, today they did not go away easy. They were down 10-2 and they made it 10-6 at one point.
True.
So I think that, they are fighting. It has been competitive in a sense, but also I can see what you're saying in the fact that at the end of the day, someone's just pulling away late.
And it just, the fact that it hasn't even been close in any of these games just strikes me as odd and as unusual. Bottom of the second, no run score, Flaherty gets out of trouble. Bottom of the third was a time. Marte, Alvarez, Lindor, Nimmo. This is an inning that I like to title as everybody eats.
Yes, that's
everybody
a great
eats.
way to put it.
I mean, what else is there to say?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those innings where we've seen from the Mets all season where they just kind of click and everything kind of scores in bunches. I mean, my biggest criticism of the Mets this season has been the fact that they've scored in bunches and then kind of like teeter off for the rest of the game. But today was a great showing where the Mets actually came through with a big inning and then continued to build on it throughout the game. Completely
agree. Not to mention in there, and cannot get lost in the mix, Alvarez contributing again. Finally. I'm not, listen, you want to say too little, too late, okay, but I'm just saying he did something. And honestly, Nimmo even continues to impress me because I know that he's playing through pain. Like, that's something that's going to stick with me, not just in this postseason, but just forever. That's just a good guy and a good player.
I mean, yeah, it shows how much these guys want it. You see it in a lot of other sports, too, especially hockey, where these guys at the end of the playoff runs, when they get eliminated, the injury reports just roll through what these guys are playing through. But I do think it's particularly interesting that one of the things that was talked about before the game was, where's Jesse Winker going to play? Because he has been really needed in this lineup. And Carlos Mendoza said that he thinks a hobbled Brandon Nimmo in left field is better defensively than Jesse Winker.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, I get, yeah, I mean, I don't know, though. That's a tough one for me. I do, obviously, I think Brandon Nimmo and defense, that goes together like peanut butter and jelly. But there were some times, like even in the game yesterday, where I do see him kind of hobbling towards the wall, and I'm thinking in my head, this play needs to be faster. Were you?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, you know what you really notice with Nimmo is he usually sprints to first base after a walk. He's kind of just jogging now, which is not Brandon Nimmo-like. It's not
You're
him.
so right. Yes, he does. He sprints for the walks. I agree. And listen, I think that goes to show you, because that's almost like ingrained in him and something that he always does. Like, the dude is in some pain, but he's in it to win it, and I understand that. So, yeah, bottom of the third, great inning. Top of the fourth, Andy Pages homers, and Alvarez didn't like the celebration. Did you see that?
Yeah, I mean,
did that matter to you? I didn't think it was really all that egregious.
I mean, it was just, the fact you're down 8-1 and you're pimping a home run like that, completely like doing a bat flip and stuff. I can see. I was like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
Kind of got to act like you've been there before. I know it's a rookie and it's his first career, like, postseason home run, but act like you've been there before.
But to your point, I think that is kind of, that is like two different stories right there, and it's interesting. On the one hand, you have an excited person who has not been in this situation before. On the other hand, it's like that's a part of being a team, is kind of recognizing the moment. I agree with what you... I didn't think... End of the day, I wasn't mad by the fact that anybody wanted to celebrate a home run in the postseason. But I see where you're coming from, where, like, the Mets are up by that much. It does sort of feel like a, like, womp, womp, womp kind of thing.
Not for nothing. I think Alvarez would have done the exact same thing.
Well, right, that's all I'm trying to say. I just think there's two sides to that whole coin, but I understand it. I just thought it was interesting how to bring it up. Then we also got to bring this up. Garrett freaking Reed, man. And I understand later on, I know about the 3-run homer. I saw it. But he got the hell out of this inning. And in the playoffs, I'm still going to say it. I understand the 3-run homer. But there have been moments in time, maybe not even full starts, but there have been moments where I feel like this is not the Garrett Reed who we saw in the regular season. I have been impressed by some things I saw. I know I'm going to get cooked on that. I understand that he let up a home run. But, like, that was impressive to me.
No, yeah, Reed Garrett has been one of those players where it's kind of like, I was having this conversation with my roommates today where it was like, the Mets are up by 6 runs. Why are you not attacking the strike zone? Especially with all the walk problems that they've had. Yeah. Reed Garrett came in and started throwing strikes, which is something that the Mets desperately needed, and it got them out of that jam.
Period. There's nothing else to say on that. By the way, your roommates, Yankees fans, Mets fans?
I have a roommate who's a Yankee fan and a roommate who's a Red Sox fan.
Ooh.
So, a lot of bad blood there.
That's a nice little combination. Bottom 4, Jesse Winker with the RBI triple. I just got to say it. Like, he has emerged as, I can't necessarily say one of my favorite Mets because he hasn't been here long enough, but he is so damn funny, man. Like it's like he fits right in. He's rough around the edges. He's kind of rude, but like I think if he was on any other team, I'd hate him, but I love him.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
That was kind of how Met fans felt about him with all the stuff he did from Cincinnati in the past years. But I saw this on Twitter. I don't want to steal this, but he is so New York. He fits the New York mold so well. And I don't know how Carlos Mendoza took him out of the lineup the past 2 games, because he has been absolutely on fire this postseason, and he proved it again tonight. Played a little bit with a chip on his shoulder.
Taking him out of the lineup, I'm not here to go back into the past and to be upset or to air out my previous grievances, because that's what I did last night. But leaving him out of the lineup was a goddamn mistake.
Yo, it absolutely was, especially the way JD Martinez has been swinging the bat, especially against breaking pitches. I mean, that's kind of been his crutch all year. But I don't know how you take Winker out.
Now, on the other hand, I will say I'm going to give Mendoza credit, and this is just me kind of broadly speaking. Like yesterday, I think he realized that. He realized it in the end of the game, and he starts making switches, and that's too little too late. Today, it's all different. It is not what it was supposed to be. Senga's not starting. You're seeing differences in the lineup. I respect that. I understand that he is a first-time manager. However, he did what he needed to do, in my opinion, because he was hearing the feedback. He saw that it wasn't working. It might have been a little too late, but he did change some things. Fair?
Yes, absolutely fair. And I think, I was talking about it because I thought that Winker had hurt something, and we just weren't hearing about it when he was going with JD Martinez over him.
That's so funny. Dan's literally in his dorm room like, is this guy hurt?
I mean, kind of the way that the lineup was registered. And then, they went with McNeil over Iglesias today, which was a decision, because Iglesias has been so sound defensively that it's like, what are you even doing? I mean, at this point, McNeil ended up coming through later in the game with some RBIs. But, yeah, I think Carlos Mendoza has done a really good job of balancing. Today going into it, he was very blunt with the media, which I really liked. Mm-hmm. He said that, David Peterson's going to be on about an 80 pitch count. Stanek and Diaz can combine for about 12 outs today, which they ended up combining for 13. Yep. So, I really do appreciate when a manager not only doesn't lie to the media, but also lives up to what he's saying.
100% agree. So just to clarify, because I am curious how you feel about this, you would prefer Iglesias in the lineup?
Right now, yes. I think so, especially for the defense. That's kind of where I'm at, because I think McNeil and Iglesias' bat at their current states are kind of interchangeable. I know you want that lefty in there for a little bit more balance, but if McNeil's playing a little bit injured, you want Iglesias' sound defense in there.
No, it's funny you say that, because honestly, I think Ashley was not really necessarily into the idea of that, wanted McNeil in, and I understand that when nothing was working, but I actually think I am inclined to agree with you. I saw McNeil today, he's doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but Iglesias to me has proved that he's earned it. Mind you, recently, he has not been batting very well. So if McNeil all of a sudden is going to bring something that Iglesias hasn't, okay. But I actually see both sides of that coin. Continuing on, top of the 5th, it's the Pajes 3-run homer. We may as well just take a beat on it. You see it, and you're saying out loud what?
Oh, my God, I can't believe we're going to have to sweat out a game that the Mets were up 10-2.
I mean, I hear you, and I understand you. Let me be your therapist. That makes sense to me. This is the problem. And we'll get into the themes a little later in this episode, so hang with us if you want some more general talk and some Dodger talk. But listen, this is what concerns me moving forward, okay? The score was 12-6, but in a lot of games, 6 runs is enough to win.
Yeah, but not with this Dodgers team and the way that they're able to battle and how deep their lineup is.
Well, no, I'm saying the Dodgers scored 6 runs tonight. If the Mets are not normally, I'm saying if the Mets don't have 12 runs in this crazy offense, the Dodgers could win this game.
Oh, yeah, of course. I think, like we said, like I said earlier, I think the Mets being able to add on runs throughout, because we've seen it a lot this season. We saw it in Game 2, where the Mets explode for 6 runs and then just teeter off for the rest of the game and do absolutely nothing at the plate. So this was one of those games where I kept saying, we need to keep adding, and the Mets kept doing that. I can't
believe we have to sweat it out. I know, it's so true. My dad is texting me, there's a lot of time left to play. I'm like, this is the longest game ever. What is going on right now? And I guess in a way, that to me feels like a part of the Mets DNA.
No, absolutely.
You're going to sweat it out. That's why we're all here. Like, that's a part of the fan base. That's why you're a Mets fan. But it's just like, damn. Like, it could have been a little smoother sailing. And from that point on, you kind of knew it wasn't going to be. Go ahead, tell me.
I just wanted to say, I think it's funny to mention that Pages hit his second home run of the game, and he bat flipped and pimped it again. But this one was a wall scraper. So I thought that was a little funny.
No, listen, it is funny. And in a way, like I said, there's a part of me that feels like, listen, postseason baseball, anything goes. All right? It's fine. But I also, had heard a stat that there were more base runners through 5 innings than any other game in National League history. Like, we really were witnessing something unusual tonight. And I think that's important to point out. Like, fan base aside, this was odd.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it just comes down to how both pitchers were kind of getting smacked around early. I mean, Flaherty allowed 8 hits and 8 earned runs and 4 walks. Peterson 6 hits, 2 earned runs and 4 walks. I mean, you're going to have guys on the base pads. Of course it's going to happen that way.
Yes, and I also think it's important to note that's why it's never over until it's over. You should have seen Ashley last night. I was literally yelling at her. And if you were here last night and you listened, you know. She is telling the viewers, I just want to say, in case the season is over, goodbye. She's literally doing her funeral, okay? Like, ahead of time, like before she's dead. I'm like, Ashley, you need to calm down, go to your wedding, and I'll see you on Sunday. And I was right.
It ain't over till it's over.
It ain't over till it's over. I'm like, but I guess the reason why I brought that up is because, like, Flaherty, like, that's a great example of somebody who whooped the Mets. But it's hard to do that twice. So it makes me feel like, listen, nothing's set in stone. Just because one Dodger starting pitcher had a great game doesn't mean that's going to happen again. And we'll get to this. But you think about the bullpen start that looms ahead. I feel positively about that. But anyway, just to kind of conclude, you're going to feel negatively about it?
No, I don't feel negatively about it. I feel pretty good. I'm kind of just laughing at the fact that we're even talking about this.
I know.
It's in the past, The game, we won the game.
Yeah, we did. And listen, so point being, as far as the scoring summary goes, at this point, what I do want to point out, not because the stuff in the middle was irrelevant, but by the time that we get to Edwin Diaz, I really felt like tonight was retro Diaz. Like, it really was the Diaz that you need to see in the most positive moments, in the most important moments, and you did.
Yeah, I mean, we were having this conversation of, do you even bother putting in Diaz for the 9th inning after his inning of work? He looked really good against the top of the order. Do you even put him in up 6 runs?
That's a good point.
I think it was a really good thing because, we've seen it, all season. Diaz is a confidence pitcher, and he needs that confidence to keep going. But we need to give Ryan Stanek his flowers, too.
Come here.
2 1/3 innings of shutdown ball that kept the Mets in the lead and got to Diaz. I mean, he was that perfect bridge, and he's been, honestly, their best reliever this entire postseason.
It is funny because Ashley even mentioned this the other day, that Stanek is essentially maybe one of the only relief pitchers who is truly in the circle of trust. And that does continue to be true to this day. He was such a good addition. And you can say that about a few, Winker too, obviously, but I mean, what a grab to have a guy like him in a situation like this. I completely agree. And to your point, we have talked about this on this podcast more than you could ever possibly know or imagine, but I would die on the hill that Edwin Diaz needs to have his confidence up if he's going to pitch well. So when he has a night like tonight and he feels confident moving forward, you never know what's going to happen. You never know even until the day or until the moment. You need to see him on the mound, and even then you don't know. But that makes me feel good that he feels good.
I say this all the time. I'm in the camp that I can tell you exactly what Edwin Diaz is going to do based on his first pitch.
That's so funny.
If he twirls that slider on the outside corner, we're in business. If he throws it 10 miles over the catcher's head, then we're in trouble.
Yeah, it's so true. Like, it's going to be great or you're in for a ride. But tonight, it worked out well. Let's talk about themes a little bit here. Just what we saw generally speaking and what we want to see moving forward. All in all, the Mets won, and in the postseason, that's what matters. Exactly. It was a 12-6 win, and that was good too. The bats were batting, y'all. We got to talk about that a little bit. Hello, 0 strikeouts. That is disgusting. That is astonishing. And that is not at all the Mets team we saw yesterday, 2 days ago now, really, because it's 12:13 a.m.
I didn't even believe it until I looked at the box score. I'm like, really? Because, I think that's just how negative-minded we are, to the point where, like, we wouldn't even be happy to notice that, we're so busy thinking about other stuff and how they're going to lose.
We have trauma, Dan. We have trauma.
So much trauma that we didn't even think about the fact that they didn't strike out once. But that is such a testament to how they've been this season. But I'm really happy to see it, because that is a trend where if you're going to keep doing that, you're going to find yourself having success.
And that's the thing. It's like, it is so crazy. I think this is honestly one of the reasons why I love baseball so much. How could it feel yesterday like things were so over, and today feel like we're so back? Is that just the Mets fan experience?
I think that's just life.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, listen, it's ups, it's downs, but it feels like I'm not going to sit here and say I feel confident and the Mets are going to the World Series. I'm not going to say it. But I am going to say that it is possible.
Yeah.
It's possible. There's a chance. So that alone makes me feel like I would like to live another day just to see the results of that situation. The other thing is, to be realist, because we are realists on this podcast at all times, still too many walks.
No, 100%. Kind of backtracking a little bit, I want to ask you something.
Tell me.
All day today, I feel like it kind of hit me at one point today, where I was kind of just going through the motions of my day, and I was like, wait. This could be the last time we watch this team play baseball. As sad as that sounds,
You're really like Ashley.
It hit me for a minute. But, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, did you feel at any point today or even after, like, do you still feel any confidence?
Yeah.
You do?
I really do. Yes. I don't just think this was just a win so that fans at Citi Field could feel something for them to just go out to Los Angeles and die. Like, I do. Today I actually felt zero nerves. I don't know why. You heard me on the phone earlier. I don't know why. There was no nervousness at all. I knew they were going to win today. I really felt that in my heart. Now, listen, to go out to LA and to win 2 games, I don't know. But honestly, I'm not ready to just sit here and be like, thanks to the viewers for joining us. Like, I really am one of the believers that it's not over until it's over. And honestly, I think this is a Mets team that plays their best baseball when their backs are against the wall. We are officially in backs against the wall territory. It's backs against the wall o'clock. You know what I'm saying?
That is very fair. And Lindor dropped the "you gotta believe" quote, I think, but just before the game today. That sent chills down my spine. I think at this point, like, we have to just ride it out. I mean, I personally, looking at it, I feel strangely at peace with the Mets season, to the point where, like, if they were to lose now, I wouldn't be too upset about it. But also, just the fact of the matter was, like, I do not want to lose on my home field. And luckily, they came through today and delayed that a little bit going out to LA.
See, you say delayed. You don't believe.
No, I do believe. I believe that I believe that this Mets team is not going down easily. Can I sit here and honestly say and lie through my teeth that they're going to the World Series? I don't think I can say that right now.
I don't blame you, and I actually appreciate your honesty, because I think that a lot of Mets fans are in the same boat. I don't know why. You could see it on this podcast since May. I always am more positive than negative. I don't know if that's just me and my personality, or if it's the fact that I really believe in this year's Mets team. Like yesterday, I was really feeling like, oh, yeah, all right. But today, I don't know. I just feel reinvigorated, and I'm going to have to ride that out, because honestly, what other option do we have? That's what we're doing.
I mean, that is true. I mean, you got to look ahead. You can't really look behind. You got to keep looking toward the future. And I think the Mets have a pretty favorable matchup on Sunday. I'm not going to lie, with Manaea against their bullpen, which we've seen that the Mets have been able to capitalize on.
And that was my point. Like, that's what I was trying to bring up before. It's not just, okay, yes, it's 2 games and you need to win both. I understand that. It's 2 games in Los Angeles. I understand that too. But the bullpen, like, that is a favorable matchup for us. And then you know what? In Game 7, it's like whatever happens, happens. But I think they could actually pull out a Game 6 tomorrow. Game 7, it's like, it's fate at that point. It's destined to be, or it's not, Like, I'm not gonna be upset at the outcome of that Game 7 no matter what. I actually think that we make it to a Game 7 though? I do. I actually do.
I share that testament with you. I agree.
Yeah?
I think, once you get to Game 7, anything can happen in a Game 7. But just to get there, you have the chance to. You got to take advantage.
Anything else that you want to say about this Mets team, or what you would like to see in the future here before we wrap it up and get out of here?
I mean, there's just been so much this season, so many times, so many memories, so much times that this team has come back from adversity, and I need them to do it one more time. That's kind of all you can really say at this point.
Listen, we just need a little extra magic in this God-given hat, and we will see whether or not the Mets still have it.
I don't know who we need to pray to. I don't know if we need to pray to Grimace. I don't know if we need to pray to the Rally Pimp. The RIZZLER was at the game today.
The RIZZLER! We didn't even talk about that.
I love
what
the
in
RIZZLER.
God's name?
I love the RIZZLER so
Can you
much.
quickly, for any of our viewers who don't know, like brief explanation of the RIZZLER and what that's all about? Because I myself am even a little confused.
Yeah, so basically the RIZZLER is this famous TikToker. He's part of this thing called the Costco-verse. I don't know if you've ever seen the TikTok of the two guys, the dad and the son that went to Costco, made a famous video about chicken bakes and double chunk chocolate cookies. But anyway, the RIZZLER is part of that universe, and people just love this kid. And they're Met fans. They're from New Jersey, so they came up for the game. And then Citi Field noticed this, and they did the RIZZLER cam. And then they showed him. He did the little Riz face, the little fun stuff. It's all like brain rot that like 12-year-olds look at.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it fired everybody up. And now we've got Rally RIZZLER trending on Twitter.
Rally RIZZLER. Say whatever you want to say about the Mets, but you can't say that they're not fun, and you can't say that they're not funny. Thanks so much, as always, for joining us. Great time to say you can find us anywhere: TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. The handle is all the same, at YMetsPod. And we just want to say again, thank you. The last episode got 25,000 views, and it was actually a lot of Dodgers fans. So listen, if this podcast is something that can bring fan bases together, then that's what we're all about.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. We will see you back here for Game 6. Thanks for sticking up with us.